Hello and welcome to the Friday edition of Real Talk with Anele, coming to you live on SABC 3. The stage is yours. Josina Machel, the daughter of the late Samora Machel and South Africa's former First Lady, Mamkrasa Machel, never imagined in her life as an activist against women abuse that she too would become a survivor of gender-based violence. Studies have shown that 1 in 5 women has been or will be a victim of abuse, including rape, in her lifetime. In October 2015, Josina Machel formed part of this statistic. She grew up in a presidential palace under tight security, surrounded by bodyguards and soldiers 24/7. Under a volatile Mozambique, she had become familiar with the sounds of war and knew the processes and procedures to keep safe. But all that and the intuition to protect herself did not prepare her for what happened on the 17th of October 2015. Her story reminds us that status does not necessarily protect us from abuse. She's here to tell us more about herself and that story. We finally welcome to the show, Josina Machel.
Thank you, Anele.
The way you and I, every time we see each other, you must come on the show. Yeah, I'll come on the show. Finally.
Yes. You know, when you sent a message, I was like, really? You want me to sit on your couch?
Yes.
It was like,
okay.
We're here.
And that's why you took out the
Have to do it.
So clearly the First Lady suits run in the family.
You know what? To be honest, no. It doesn't, because I'm very much a tracksuit person.
Yeah.
Jumpsuits. I really want to be. I want to be in my jeans and relax. Yeah, but from time to time, I had to do it for you.
Thank you. On behalf of me and the viewers, we thank you because we love that look. We love that look. So I love the way you say the day you were born was no ordinary day for your parents, right? What's special is you named after your father's first wife, right? So how quickly did they tell you that story of who you named after?
I think I was around 7. No, not really. The thing is, I knew my name was Josina, right? And of course, it's Josina, the president's daughter.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
And my father was very, very determined in saying, you know what? You're not the president's daughter. You are my daughter. So you are daddy's daughter. Now, and then I looked at him and I said, okay, fine. So when people look at me and they say the president's daughter, what am I supposed to say? But, you know, my upbringing was just very normal. It was what it was. Later on, of course, I think at around 5, 6, I realized that the name Josina Machel was not mine. You know, there's a school named Josina Machel. There's streets named Josina Machel. There is a holiday, you know, because of Josina Machel, the day she passed on. So I was like, okay, but is this me?
Am I that important?
I was thinking, what?
What have I done at age 5?
To deserve something like that? No. And then, you know, my Josina passed on and she had left a son, Samora Jr., and I follow him. So we were like this. But at a certain point, I had to understand, you know what? She's a mother. She's my mother. And she had left. She died during the struggle. And I was named after her. Only in my 17s, then I sit with my mom and I said, Mama, how does it work? I mean, you name your daughter
after your husband's other wife.
Exactly. But then she said, no, Zina, but there's no struggle. I never came into his life when she was alive. Yeah. When I arrived, she had already passed on.
But it's also quite telling of how comfortable your mother is.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it says a lot about her. But how do you not grow up? Because I understand your dad would say, you are not the president's daughter, you are my daughter. Yes, when he says that to you, it clicks. But as soon as he gets on a plane and he goes somewhere to discuss presidential things and you're surrounded by bodyguards and soldiers, it comes back to you that you're the president's daughter. How do you separate the two?
I'm not sure you separate it very well. Yeah. It takes time also to understand how you separate that. Because, look, just going to school, the moment I stepped out of the house, I had a driver, I had security. You know, I grew up in the 80s, and at that time, the apartheid system was focused on Mozambique. So we had bombings in Maputo. You know, the Renamo movement was becoming very strong. So I had to look also after myself. My parents had to speak to me about security, what you do, what you don't. And of course, sometimes as a child, you just want to go to a friend's house and you want to go and play in the streets. But you have to be aware that, look, there'll be security next to you. I would go to dance classes every day, and there would be security at the door of the dance school until I came out. So yeah, you kind of get used to.
How do you get your first kiss when bodyguards are constantly following you?
Oh, you know what? I think the first kiss happened after my dad was assassinated.
Okay.
So
okay, not that it's a good thing that your dad was assassinated,
no,
but
not
I'm just
at
saying
all.
it would have been awkward.
It would have been awkward. No, because it would have been reported. No, it would have been reported. It was, oh, you know, Josina is seeing so-and-so. No, everything was reported. Huh? He would know exactly what his children were up to. We would get security briefings. And if we breached, I had older sisters and brothers, right?
Yeah.
So if they breached security, they would come from the military house to sit and say, hey, you are doing A, B, C. This is not on. We are checking this person. This person is not good. So,
Would you say your mom raised you in an interesting way? Was she always trying to normalize your youth so that, you know, were you washing dishes? Were you making your own bed? Were you cooking? Were you cleaning? Were you doing spring cleaning where you take the curtains down and you must step on them?
You know what? For example, one of the things that my parents made from the beginning very clear, and it was an interesting way of growing up, we would have to go to the village very regularly. And when you go to the village, it's really not about, you know, this and that. You are, you know, the moment he arrived in the village, we would have 200 people coming to see him, spend time with him, and so on. So you have to greet all the uncles and the grandpas and everybody else. You have to serve them.
Yes,
I was quite young, but still, you know, you have to serve them.
And then
so there's no attitude of, oh, no, I can't do this and I can't do that. No, you do. And, you know, we were quite scroungy. No shoes, play around with kids. There were no balls, so we would create all sorts of things to play. It was very interesting because it had a bit of that contrast. We were kids in that kind of setting, in that kind of protected background. But there were times when we were just like someone else, anyone else.
Did you ever hate being the president's daughter?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I was young. I wanted to go to parties sometimes. And it was like, no, you can't. This is not a good period. Tensions could have escalated. And of course, the places that I could go, houses of friends and so on and so forth, always had to be monitored. So I can't just out of the blue say, Mom, I want to go to this place. It wouldn't work.
And what are you dreaming of? What's your end goal in life when you're thinking of yourself? I'm the president's daughter. I may go into politics. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. You know what?
I wanted to be a soldier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Chisakel.
I wanted to be a soldier because, you know, my every day was really spent with soldiers, right? We come out, the military, the ones that left with my dad, but of course, in the palace, they were always military men. So I would go down, play, and it's uncle this, uncle that. And for me, it looked quite a glorious life. And my father was always in uniform, for example.
Yes.
And so it was like, you know, and out of the revolution, and, you know, so you would see all the aunties and uncles in uniform. And so for me, war was kind of glorified. However, that changes at around 84, perhaps, because I realized that if you're a soldier, you might spend days without sleeping. You might not eat. You cannot be guaranteed that if you're in a war, you don't know when your next meal is going to be.
You might die.
Yeah, well, the death, I managed to not be too scared about it, or I never focused about it, but it was more the not eating, the walking around. It was just a bit of the roughness. I said, oh, maybe that's not for me. So then I changed. I wanted to be a doctor.
When do those dreams die, where you realize, okay, I'm not going to become a doctor and it's fine?
Because I started dancing very young. When I was 4 years old, I did professional dancing. And so at around 8, 9, I decided I wanted to be a dancer, professional dancer. And that was it. And it's the passion of my life, you know, dancing
Still.
for me. Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. I still do. I still go for classes when I can. And I get on the dance floor, seriously.
Okay. So the next party, look out for Josina, Machel, yo. Listen, we're going to take an ad break. I'm so glad we had this. You see, To us, it's the president's kids, but they're like us, absolutely normal people living extraordinary lives. When we return, we'll chat about the night that changed Josina's life forever. Stay with us.
I was brutally assaulted by my former partner. You see, the thing with domestic violence is that it does not discriminate. No one is immune to it. Not even the fact that both my dads had been president helped me. I may have lost my eye, but I have not lost my vision.
They say that our lives could change in a moment, but for Josina Machel, her life changed in 30 seconds. On the morning of her mother's birthday, an argument between herself and then partner turned violent, leaving her on her knees pleading for help at a public hospital in Maputo. That night, she endured several heavy blows on her face and a bleeding eye. The blows had left her eye permanently damaged. We're in conversation with her, getting to know her a little bit better. So for me, if I'm looking on the outside, looking into your life, I'd say 2 days changed your life forever. One of them, we're going to speak about a little bit later, but the other one is the day your father, I was going to say passed away, but you said, well, he was assassinated.
He was assassinated.
He was assassinated.
Yeah.
And your mother came to you and said, you know, Dad might not be coming back for a while. The bad guys have taken him.
Yeah. You know, we had the 17th of October is my mom's birthday, right? And she had turned 40 in '86. And then because of the tensions in the region, Dad decided not to celebrate on that day. So we had a family gathering on the 18th. He finishes at around 10 o'clock and he says, family, it was very good being with you. We were singing and so on and so forth. And he says, I have a trip to Zambia tomorrow morning. And the year before, my brother had actually gotten married on the 19th of October. So he said, okay, you guys go, let's celebrate the first anniversary and I'll come and join you. So he was supposed to land at around 8 o'clock. I went to sleep at around 10, I don't remember what happened, and that was it. The following day, I wake up, I was getting ready to go to school, and one of the girls I grew up who lived in the house, she was a daughter of Marcelino dos Santos, comes in and says, what are you doing? And I said, I'm getting ready to go to school. And she says, but you're not going to school today. And I looked at her and I said, why? And something just came and I said, first it was, have the bandits come in? There was Renamo. Have they come into town? So she says, no. So I said, has Daddy come back? And she says, not yet. Okay, so I go to bed. I held on to my younger brother because we were young, we slept in the same room. And I started crying somehow. But something says, stop crying, because this could be bad luck. I think 30 minutes later, then my older sister, no, it was this lady, come and wakes us up. And they took us from the palace to a different house where my mom was. But as we come through the stairs, I could hear my mom screaming, crying, screaming. So there was, you know, we could sense in the air that, okay, things are not working well. Until we were taken to a bedroom and she sat me, Malenga, the younger brother, and Samora on the bed. And then she says, Daddy hasn't come back. We don't know. She's still crying? She managed to
hold herself together.
To hold, but you could see.
To be strong for you guys.
Yeah. So she says, Daddy hasn't come back. We don't know where he is. The uncles haven't found the plane yet. And we don't know if he'll come back. So I asked, I said, so they got him. And she just hugged us. But you know, 3 months before that, my dad had actually spoken to me about it. And he had said, you know, baby, the situation between Mozambique and South Africa is getting worse. You might wake up one day and Daddy will not be around. And my question to him was, Papa, why can't you just step down? Can we go to the village? And he said, yes, but you know that Daddy's life is for the people. And I have to stay with the people until
You know, you say they, you know, did they get him? And earlier you said, it's almost like all of you guys knew who they was.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
Yeah, at all times. Ne?
Oh, yeah.
Do you not, you know, live in fear? I get there's bodyguards and the security guards and the soldiers, but you're still a child, man, Josina. How easily do you fall asleep when there's always the fear of them?
For some reason, I never thought, you know, we would have the same experience, for example, that Gaddafi had, where they would bombard the house, okay? There were attempts to do that. I think it was in '82. But that fear, I think my father had such a presence that we managed to hide and to say, you know what, it's not going to happen. Yeah. But of course, it was in our daily lives. I mean, you know, my name actually is Josina Ziaya. I was given that name by Uncle Oliver Tambo because 4 days after I was born, Konto Sizo had a very big operation in Pretoria. Yeah. And so when he arrives home and he meets Mom 5 days after I was born, and my dad says, you know, we have a baby, a girl. And he looks and he says, her name is Ziaya. You know, because Konto Sizo is moving. Yes, we are moving. Ziaya, Epito, Ziaya, Ziaya. Exactly. Epito, yeah. And you know, Auntie Miriam Makeba used to sing that song all the time. Every time she came to Maputo, she would sing, you know, Ziaya, Ziaya, Epito. So I had all these people, but it was normal. Yeah. It was normal. It's Uncle so-and-so. You hear about the stories. You know they are in danger. You know that you will wake up one day and they will not be there. But it's normal.
So how does your life immediately change? You know, your mom is there. You can see she's holding it together for you guys. And she's telling you that they've got him. We can't find the plane. We don't know where he is. How does your life immediately change?
Well, you know from that moment onwards that your dad is gone. Okay? We moved houses, for example, immediately. I was woken up at around 7, left what had been my house for 10 years, moved to a guest house, and never went back. Okay? That's it. You never go back. It's changed. You know, we were in a special house and so on and so forth, but reality just changes. You know, we went back to, actually, we didn't go to school for quite some time. The country was in heavy, heavy mourning. And you couldn't escape that. It was, you know, Samara was in everybody's life. So everybody lost it. It was...
So it's almost heavier for you, right? Because, you know, as if being the president's daughter didn't come with its own burden. But now you are the, you know, the girl who lost her dad. You know, and do you feel the pity around people? Are they looking at you like, a shame, man?
Not really, because we were surrounded by, you know, his friends and his colleagues. They were also feeling like, what are we going to do? He's not here anymore. So it was a collective grieving that happened in the country. And so, you know, my pain was everybody's pain. And I think in that sense, it was quite cushioned. Yeah. In that sense, it was cushioned. But look, I want my father to come home. I wanted to play ballet to my dad. I wanted to just play, sit on him. And, you know, sometimes when he would finish exercising, sit on him and just like play with his beard and stuff. I want that. And yeah, that never comes back.
The plane crash, you know, they say we can't find the plane. When do you accept? Because isn't there like a little bit of hope with you? Like, well, until you guys find the plane, then it means my dad is not dead. So don't tell me that.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, I never had, Mom was so, Mom was grieving so badly that the final confirmation didn't really come like that. For me, for example, was coming down the stairs and someone had forgotten the newspapers. And the newspapers just, it was a big picture of him and says, Samara died. So that was a confirmation for me. And then, of course, I saw, I mean, there was nothing changed. That didn't come back. And a few days later, then I was confronted with the sight of his coffin. We never got really to see him because it wasn't a very pretty sight. And that, you know, that brings a kind of a denial. Yeah. Because if you don't see it, it never happened. You don't have to actually you know, do that final goodbye. And so for many years, it was a refusal, of course, denial on my face, on my way of coping, because I always dreamt he would come back, always dreamt he would come back.
Out of the physical, let's forget about the physical, you know, the rubbing of his beard and the fact that you always felt so loved and protected around him. What do you miss about him?
I miss the physical.
Okay.
My dad was very expressive. You know, he laughed hard, he loved hard. And you know what? He always gave time to the kids, you know, he would always get home at the end of the day, exercise for an hour, like serious exercising, and after that he would relax, and so the kids would have time around him. And that's what I miss, is walking into a room and seeing his eyes shining and saying, "Hello, Jo," you know, and asking how my day was. That is, it's the fatherly things that really were robbed, and that's what I mean.
And is that what you tell your children about him? Because
yes.
Yeah, because they must have questions, right?
Yeah, but my kids still ask a lot about Samora the president.
Yeah.
They don't ask, but yeah, I do share this kind of stories, but it feels a bit unreal.
It does.
It does feel a bit unreal.
It does. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk more with Josina after the break. Taking us to the break, however, is Huawei telling you how to dream big.
Real Talk, Huawei and MTN are partnering up to celebrate the release of the new Huawei P20 series. The Huawei P20 Pro, the world's first triple Leica lens camera, is partnering with MTN SA's fastest mobile network to help you capture the best moments with your friends and family. We'll be capturing timeless moments and connecting with people in need while giving you the chance to win the Huawei P20 Pro and 10 gigabytes free once-off MTN data. So tune into Real Talk for your chance to win.
3 years ago, Josina Machel was badly beaten by her boyfriend that she permanently lost sight in her one eye. Neither doctors at Maputo's hospital nor the best doctors in Johannesburg and Barcelona could save her eye. With the one eye, she grieves the loss of the other. It's not the loss of the eyesight that she mourns, but the loss of who she was. Josina Machel is our guest tonight. I love what you said about, you know, you can take my eye, but you can't take my vision.
No.
Yeah.
No. Because at that moment, as it happened, or perhaps seconds later, I became something else. I refused to be quiet. And I was in a car. We had come out of a disco. We had been with friends and so on. And I'm just chatting to this person. And, you know, the conversation was, okay, I need to leave early in the morning. You know, it was kind of sleeping arrangements, where you're going to be and so on. And I needed to travel. So I said, you know, just drop me at home. I want to be with my mom. I was very emotional because my mama was turning 70 on that day. And for some reason, it was the first time I had to somehow think of her mortality, you know?
Oh,
so,
wow.
so I was shaken on that day. I wasn't feeling well, you know? I was very sad. I was celebrating, but I was also very, I was extremely emotional. So I wanted to be in my mom's bed that day. I had asked, you know, that her bed be made. I had asked that her pajamas be ready because I just wanted to sleep and just hug her on that particular day during the night. And then in the morning, I would come and see her. So while we're having this discussion, I mean, it wasn't a discussion, that's another thing. It was a conversation that all of a sudden just ended, and I just don't know where. All I know is that the car just stopped, and I got the first fist into my head.
Were the voices going higher, you know, because...
No, because had there been, you know what, I always say, had things gotten hot before. And heated, I perhaps would have realized that, you know what, there's a situation of danger here.
Yeah.
There was no such thing. It was, you know, 1 second, we're chatting, we're talking about this, and the next, I just feel this big fist on my forehead. And that's why I turned towards him and I screamed, "What?" Because I was surprised. And as I say the what, the second fist hits me here on the eye. The eye just goes black. So I'm holding on to it. I start screaming, stop, you hurt me, my eye. And I'm trying to protect my eye, and I feel the third big.
Is he talking?
He's screaming.
What is he saying?
That I was lying. I didn't want to go to my mom's house. I wanted to go somewhere else. It was just, you know, and in the midst of, so there's that attack. I'm trying to protect myself. After the third big hit here on my head, I just ran out of the car. No shoes, nothing. I was just screaming for my life and, you know, trying to hold on because I was bleeding. I didn't know what happened. I just knew I was bleeding. There was hot stuff coming out of my eye. They did not say I knew it was blood because I didn't know. But there was like hot stuff coming out of my eye and into my mouth, and my dress was just getting drenched and drenched. So I run, I ask for help, and eventually, well, medically then I somehow lost my senses because of the big hit on the head. He then picks me up and takes me to the public hospital. Yeah, I saw the car coming and I thought, you know what, this is it. But it didn't get that bad. So I was taken to the public hospital, and, you know, it just started a whole new journey because I was there for hours asking for help. No telephone. I was not giving my cell phone back. I was, you know, shoeless, looking drenched and just asking for help. And I was telling people, please attend to this eye. I'm going to go blind, guys. Please, please. And you know, sometimes doctors can be quite blasé. Yeah. You know, it's like, okay, you're bleeding. You're not dying. You're not dying. You know, you can still scream and cry. So I guess. It means your lungs are working. Well done. You know. So they attended to it, you know, quite slowly. And I was there for hours. You know, there's at a certain point, I actually came out of the bed because I was begging for someone to call my family, to call my brothers. I was trying to get their numbers and tell their numbers to someone I knew. But in that state, I always missed the last numbers. I just missed the last numbers. But the only number I remember was my mom. But I'm in Maputo. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. She's in Johannesburg. How do I call and say, Mom, I'm in the hospital and I've been beaten? What do I say? So the doctors come and they ask what happened. And I said, I was beaten up. Actually, the being was next to the bed. So his first answer is, she fell. And I turned and I said, you lie, you beat me. I don't know where that voice came from, but I just, you beat me. So then the doctors say, okay, say it again. And I just say, he beat me. They said, can you point to the person? And I said, he beat me. Yeah, the person is here.
That's remarkable because as women, with men that we love, the first thing we think to do is to protect them, and we'll sort it out later. But you had just, from word go, you had decided, I'm going to survive you.
Yeah, you beat me. Yeah. What am I supposed to say? Yeah, and what am I supposed to say? I fell? I didn't fall. If I'd fallen, yes, you take your blame. You fell, you hurt yourself. If you know, but the truth is, he beat me, and I couldn't come up with any other story. It was as simple as that. And so, look, it was, you know, being in a hospital in all those hours, begging. I was begging people who were passing. I didn't know who these people were. And I just said, you know what? I'm the daughter of Graça Machel. I'm the daughter of Samara Machel. I'm sure you know someone that that knows a relative or someone close to Machel. Please just tell Josina is in the hospital. Eventually, the being, I call King Kong, got some friends. The friends were there, and one of the friends went to fetch my brother. And that's how the story, it was around 5 o'clock, my younger brother, Malenga, comes through the doors, and, you know,
your heart.
Yeah, but I don't know. All I knew was relief. Someone is here to help me, because this person was out. You know, all this, he brought friends, whoever it is, it was out. I was not depending on this person. I was not going to ask for help. I wanted my family. So at that time,
What is he saying? Is he apologizing at least? When the witnesses go away, when it's just you and him?
yes, there was a time when he says, baby, please calm down. You know, you're the woman of my life, and so on and so forth. I said, just do not touch me. Just don't touch me. And after that, I think because I started, I was demanding presence. I had told the doctors. The police came, by the way. Yeah. The police came to take a statement, because when a woman makes a statement like that, then the police has to come. So they took my statement. After that, I guess he realized that, okay, it's not going to be
easy.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy story. And she just stuck to the fact. I wanted my brothers, honestly. And until one of them arrived at the hospital. Oh.
Was the being still there when your brother arrived?
Yes. The being didn't leave.
He's brave, eh?
No, but he didn't face my brother. He was somewhere hidden away after that. I think it was just to monitor what the situation was. The doctors at a certain point wanted to take me to the operation room, and I just said no. I need my brother to come. I'd been operated on this eye before, so I wanted someone who knew what it was, how delicate the situation was, to be there. And so after that, my brother takes me to a doctor in another hospital, and that's when he says, look, there's not much I can do. The cornea has opened in half, so it was protruding, but there was so much blood that there was nothing else he could do. He didn't see the damage that had happened. And so they took me to the operating room just to stitch, you know, half of the eye. And because I'd been out on that day, I'd had wine and I was
Your
partying.
blood is thin.
I couldn't be put under general anesthetic. Yeah. So I had to just be in that bed for 60 minutes and not move, because I knew that, you know, if a little centimeter goes out, that's it. You know, there was this thing in the air that, you know what, this is very serious. And only when we get to Barcelona, the doctor looks and he says, I have to take to the operating room again to find out what happens. That's when we realized that, you know, the eye, you know, that the blow was so big that it opened the cornea, it erupted the global eye here, it completely burst the retina, and that's why I can never see again, because the retina went into pieces.
What you see was destroyed.
There was nothing. When they tried to get there, they couldn't. And the doctor said, look, if I went a bit further, I would just damage the brain. And so we're not able to do anything. Come back. I've tried to reconstruct it. If in 2 weeks you get a bit of a sight, then you come back. But you faced a monster. Said, whoever did this is a monster. And that was it. So.
Okay, so this would be only the beginning of Josina's horrific journey to justice, as she came face to face with the criminal justice system. When we return, we chat about the missing medical records, the docket that disappeared, and her long fight to get justice against her politically connected businessman / the being. You would think that having a big name and being born in affluence would give you political influence, not when it comes to the criminal justice system. The Machel and Mandela families undoubtedly have political clout in Mozambique, and Graça Machel is an influential woman across the continent and the world through her activism, as well as the Graça Machel Trust. But her family name couldn't help her jump the queue at the Maputo State Hospital, nor get the man who attacked her behind bars, from undergoing numerous medical procedures in South Africa and abroad to try save her sight, to embarking on a titanic struggle for justice. This was the most difficult time of her life. If you just tuned in, we're in conversation with Josina Machel. So when do you finally send the SMS to your mother?
I didn't send an SMS to my mother. My brother had to call my mom because he needed permission. I had given my life to my brother. I said, you decide. Whatever they have to do, you decide. And he has to call my mom and say, listen, something happened to Zina. She needs to be operated. It's a small eye thing, but she needs to be operated. So she needs to give permission to that. I only tell my mom what happened when she gets to Barcelona,
Okay.
a day before the operation, because I couldn't tell her over the phone. She didn't travel with me and my brother because Auntie Sheila Sisulu had lost her husband, and so mom needed to be with her. So after the funeral is when she comes to Barcelona, and then I tell my mom that I'd been beaten up. Now this is, you know what, I was raised in a family, my mom had always said, if a man beats you, he will beat you forever. So beating, you know, for me, it was like, you know what, it just will never happen to me. I would even play, you know, say it as jokes, you know, you're gonna get a diplomatic passport out of my life the moment, you know, anyone beats me. How do I sit now with her and say?
What's the first thing you guys say to each other?
To my mom?
Yeah.
When she arrived?
Yeah.
No, we had to talk about the operation, the procedure. And then she saw the doctors. And then when we get back to the hotel, I said, Mom, I need to speak to you. And sit down. She's not understanding. And I say, this didn't develop into something. I was beaten up. What? Now, okay, explain. I wasn't dating this person officially.
Oh, good God.
I was seeing this being.
Yeah, wanting to see if there's going to be something there.
Well, it was never going to be something, but it was, you know, I had come out of a divorce. So it was, you know, yeah, it's a friend. And now, how do you sit with your family and say, I was beaten? By whom? Oh, by someone else. What? And that was it. But you know what? In the first days, it was really recovering the sight. And after that, I sat with them and I said, I'm going to speak out. I'll tell the truth. I'm going to speak out. You know, I never imagined I would be deformed, that, you know, I loved my eyes, that I would never have my beautiful eye again. But I knew for sure I would not be able, for example, to sit with you and you'd say, but okay, or you would talk to someone else and say, okay, what happened? And say, it seems like she was, it didn't work. I was going, look, I came out of that car crying and screaming and standing for that, and I am here today.
Still
I'm
screaming.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
It's you know, there's a quote from Lisa Wright. It's a song that's been on my mind that says, God wakes me up in the morning God wakes me up in the morning dew. The forces of the universe call my name. They gave me a song to sing and sent me along, and I sing for justice. That is me.
So speaking of justice, I mean, the records are disappearing. People at the hospital say that you weren't here, you know, by grace of a nurse passing, saying, no, she was here. Yep. That's why you can press the charges. You found that the political clout that, you know, this guy had in Mozambique was just hindering you. But finally, you get him in court. Is that the first time you guys saw each other after that night?
No. We saw each other, I think, for the first time. Oh, you know what? I didn't believe that he had beaten me up. In the sense, let's say, you know what? I couldn't believe this person could have done that. So at a certain point, he wanted to talk to me. I did meet him, and I wanted to understand why. There was a big mistake, because then he used that against me and against my family. And he says, if you want to go public about this, I'm going to expose secrets about you and about your family. So, yeah.
You loser. Oh, my word. Like,
yeah. So it was such a situation. No, eventually we met in court, because when I went for the first time and they wanted to hear what happened, then we had to face one another. But the environment was completely antagonistic by then, because the being, King Kong, was trying to make sure that I do not take this issue to court. And I was adamant. I said, you know what? If a woman is beaten, if a woman is abused, you have to take it to court.
Yeah.
It's not a private matter. It's a crime.
It's not for the families to discuss.
No,
it's not for the elders to sit and discuss. It is a criminal act like theft and murder.
Yes.
Therefore, it goes to court.
Exactly.
Okay.
We go to court and we deal with this, you know? We can't have wishy-washy situations. Really, what are we going to negotiate?
Look, as we get ready to conclude our conversation with Josina Machel, let me remind you of your chance to win with Huawei and Real Talk. It's all in the name of doing good with a few charities, but we're also extending the good to you by rewarding you with one of the Huawei P20 Pro phones. We'll be back with this conversation after the break, but for now, let's see how you could be winning. And for the last time this evening, right here on SABC 3 with Real Talk with Anele, welcome back. Having secured a guilty verdict against her abusive ex, Josina Machel is on a mission to help victims of gender-based violence. She has started an organization to support other survivors of abuse across the continent, especially those who are less privileged than she is. She is changing the narrative, and she's here to talk to us about that. So what's your process of healing? Do you go to therapy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
You know what? When you survive something like this, you need to get hold of every single support system that you can get. So I do therapy, I do dance, I do all sorts of things. And that is, you know, in finding myself back and my healing in this process, you know, that's when I thought of what happens to every other woman. Yeah. You know, Anele, I was able, because my family was able to take me to the hospital every time I needed to go and see a doctor. I needed to go and argue my case and say, I was here at this time and so on and so forth. I was able to continue the case and pursue the case in the justice system after all the documents disappeared. How many people manage to do that? There are women who are abused every single day, and they don't manage to do that. So in one of those moments, I thought to myself, you know, if I am Josina and I'm going through this, what happens to Mary, John, to whoever it is? And I thought, you know what, I need to build a shelter so that women can come to a space that it's safe. They can, if they need to be medically treated, they can be treated.
They can be believed.
Yes,
yeah.
And some, you know, there's no doubt.
There's no doubt on questioning.
What did you do?
No.
Yeah. It's, you know, there is care. We know why you're there. And then you spend the time, we facilitate healing. And, you know, Kutluka means to be reborn. Yeah. It's rebirth. And that is what happens. After a process like this, it feels like somehow you were killed. And then we want to provide spaces, you know, where women can regenerate, where they can then find the strength to do whatever they want. If they want to take it to court, they can, but they can rebuild their lives. They can heal.
And I like that you say Kuhluka as rebirth, because also there's this sentiment that, you know, you're old now, take the life that you have. You can't change, Umdala, what are you going to do? Divorce him? Yes, you can divorce him. You can be 90 and you can divorce him.
You can divorce him.
You can be rebirthed at any time.
At any time, you are allowed to do that.
I love
because
that.
as long as you've got breath, you know, your life matters. And that is what we're here to do. It's you know, it's my life. It's every day, you know, I stand up and I wake up, and it's to make sure that women who are abused have a space where they can come and say, you know what, it happened to me.
So someone heard that you're coming on the show, and she loves you dearly. You know, she regards you as her sister and her friend, and she said she wants to send a message to you. So I'm going to play this message, and then you can just listen to it. It's all yours. Please roll it.
Hello, Anele. Hello, Zina. I just had to call in to commend you, baby girl, on your tenacity of spirit, on your courage, and on just deciding not to keep quiet about the journey of your life, and using your voice for the greater good. Gender-based violence has to stop. This femicide, the scourge on our society, the woman abuse, child abuse, it just has to stop. And Josina, you know, even with the Kutluga movement that you've started, to be able to give shelter to, you know, women who've been abused, is commendable. You could have decided to sit in a corner and just wallow in your pity. And I've actually watched you through this journey, how you've never had a pity party, but you've decided that you have a voice. you have a profile that you could use to really magnify the scourge in our society. And I've just been so proud of you. I love you, and I'll see you later.
That was Masetsana, who is your eternal sister and your eternal friend.
She was the first friend to know what happened. I sent her a message from Barcelona, and I said, Mana, she's my older sister, I was beaten up. And she's been there, you know, through court, through darkest moment, supporting my children, supporting my mom. She's been a friend. And this is what we all need. We need to multiply this kind of efforts in our society.
Yes.
You know, we need to be there for our sisters. We need to be able to stand and say, you know what? I will not do this journey pity party, or I will not cover this up for you. I will stand up for you. I will go to court. I will be there. You know, the days when it's not beautiful, we need to have that in our lives. And our communities need to be able to bring that kind of support system to women who have been abused. And of course, ensure that, you know, men who are abused get named and shamed, and that their behaviors have to change. It's not okay. It's human rights violations. You don't just, what is that?
Josina, thank you so much. It's a heavy story, but at the same time, it makes me feel light in the way that you've approached it. We say go on and, you know, carry on with the Kotluka movement. We'll be following you to see what you're doing for Nelson Mandela Day alongside Kotluka movement. We'll definitely join you at whatever you're doing there. Thank you so much. This has been a powerful hour. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Josina Machel continues to be an inspiration to many women and a beacon of hope to many survivors. The face of domestic violence, we thank her for courageously sharing her story all the time. That's all we have time for today. Like we said, thank you so much to Josina Machel. You can catch the repeat of this conversation next week, Monday at 9 a.m. From myself and the team, have yourselves a lovely weekend. Isidingo kicks it off and it's coming up next. Bye-bye.